Welcome to Hidden Secrets to Health with Christina Cole. When you realize that each and every lifestyle choice you make generally has a direct effect on your health, wouldn't you want to influence that outcome? On this program, you'll learn how to uncover the secrets that your body tells you and learn how even small lifestyle changes can mean big rewards with your health. And now, here's your host, Christina Cole.
Welcome to Hidden Secrets to Health. This is Christina Cole, functional diagnostic nutrition practitioner and certified health coach. And today I'm going to be having a friend of mine, a special guest, Lauren Barr. Lauren and I met while we were both attending the Institute for Integrative Nutrition. And we really seemed to find a lot in common and had found our tribe type of an experience, which is really cool. I was new to the Northern California area, so finding someone that I could relate to was that was local was a really important aspect for me. And so I'd like to tell you a little bit about who Lauren is. Lauren Barr is a physical therapist. She's a health coach. She's an author, and she's the founder of Simply Balanced Wellness. She provides physical therapy and private health coaching for women who want to reclaim their health and happiness naturally. Her passion and desire for launching her business were born after she overcame her own health struggles using nutrition and lifestyle changes. She knows that the human body has an amazing capacity to heal, and she's on a mission to spread that message. And that is a mission that I share with Lauren. So I'm very happy to have you on the show today. Welcome.
Thank you, Christina. I'm happy to be here.
So one of the things that we've talked about in the past I'd like to share with our audience is, but you really started your journey as a physical therapist. And, that's another modality of helping people heal their body in a natural way. And it was really through kind of seeing what's gone on with clients over the years that kind of prompted a deeper learning for you. So I'd love for you to share a little bit about your personal healing journey.
Okay. So do you want me to share my personal journey or my professional journey?
I'd love to hear your personal journey and how it ties into your professional journey. So let's start with you.
All right. So yes, the two stories they intertwine, but my own personal journey was, I felt like I was in great health most of my life. And then in 2014, I was working in a busy outpatient orthopedic clinic, and every day coming home to my two young children. And unfortunately, my husband had been laid off at the time, so I had a lot of pressure on me to, be the breadwinner, be the mom, and all these roles. And little symptoms started creeping in, but I ignored them. I had to go to work. I had to, just stay on that treadmill and just keep going.
Right.
Right. So I ignored the symptoms, the sore throats, the headaches, the eye twitching, the anxiety. And then eventually this perfect storm of additional stressors happened. And I had debilitating anxiety and insomnia. And from there, I went to the doctor and I said, what do I do? If I can't sleep, how do I go to work and function as a physical therapist and come home? Yeah, be a mom. So she said, oh, okay, I think you better start taking these medications for anxiety and depression and then come back and see me in 2 weeks. So, okay, I listened to the doctor, came back 2 weeks later, and I was worse. And just not sleeping, not functioning. And she's like, oh, okay. I think you need to go on a medical leave. And I was like, yep, I think so too. It was bad. But at that point, I just felt so scared. I had been labeled with anxiety and depression and then knocked off my pedestal of being a professional. And all of a sudden I was this broken mom. And I didn't know, if that was going to be my new reality forever. And it was just really terrifying. So I'm happy to share what I did from there.
Right. Well, and so that kind of ties into what you were seeing with your clients, right? So this is sort of that intersection. This is that point where all the clues that you'd been getting from clients started hitting home for you personally. So why don't we talk a little bit about what you were noticing over the years of your practice. And specifically, it's like it's normal to see people that have really used their bodies, right?
Yeah.
We've, I like to say my body's well used after having 2 babies, right? Because,
Yeah.
but as we get older, we've done more. So what were you starting to see in your physical therapy practice?
Yeah. So during the course of my career as a physical therapist, I've seen so many amazing stories of people healing. And, but then on the flip side, it was the people who didn't heal that always left me wondering what is going on. And really a big trend was happening, within the last 5 to 10 years. I was seeing more and more people coming to see me for physical therapy for maybe shoulder pain. But in the course of talking, they also had chronic back pain and knee pain. And so these multiple areas of pain. And it was one thing if that individual was in their 70s and, like you said, had a well-used body, they've had babies, they've, been an athlete. But I was seeing this trend of multiple pain areas and chronic pain in people in their 40s and 30s and 20s. And that it shocked me because from my standpoint, the body was supposed to heal. And why were these people's bodies not healing? And so that deep questioning and wonder really led me to search for answers. And the more I searched, I just kept finding that the underlying cause of chronic pain and chronic disease, which is most of the diseases we face as a nation are chronic diseases, the underlying factor is inflammation. And so from there, I asked, well, what can I do about inflammation? And that led me to the topic of nutrition.
And so at this stage, you decided to you started reading books. Isn't that how you started? You started reading books, and then that led you to your next step, which was going to the Institute for Integrative Nutrition. And kind of tell me a little bit about that experience.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, when I was first as a physical therapist trying to figure out how do I help my patients, I did come across some really, some books that really changed my viewpoint. Books like Grain Brain by David Perlmutter. And, he talks about gluten and how that increases inflammation in the body. And then the other book that I read was The Diet Cure by Julia Ross. And she talked specifically about gluten, dairy, and sugar being the most inflammatory foods. And so thank goodness I had those nuggets of information, because during my health crash, the prognosis from the doctor was, oh, sorry, you're just going to be on these antidepressants forever. And at best, you're just going to mask your symptoms and,
get by.
Yeah, and get by and just survive. But I took what I had learned about nutrition from those books and I applied it. And during that medical leave, I had a choice. I could either listen to the doctor's prognosis, or I could write my own prescription and try to heal. And that's exactly what I did. So my personal prescription was gluten-free and low sugar. I, switched out for healthy oils. I took a couple supplements every day, and I did meditation and deep breathing. And I just had this little checklist and followed it every day. And after 3 months, I was strong enough to go back to work as a physical therapist, which was incredible. And after 1 year of really devoting a lot of energy to my self-care, I felt better than I had felt in years. And that's the point when I decided I can't keep this a secret. How can I share the power of nutrition and lifestyle on a wider scale? And that's when I enrolled in the Institute for Integrative Nutrition.
That's a wonderful story. I love how when we start to learn something, and I kind of feel like it's that blow your hair back kind of information, that in this community, we're really looking to share that with others instead of keeping it a secret. And I think there's a lot to be said for your intuition and starting to listen to your body again. And my listeners are going to kind of see an underlying message a lot of the times when I do continue to bring up intuition and listening to your body, because we have these dynamic machines that are carrying us around. And I was speaking to a client this week, and I'm like, it's not just this dumb bucket that's carrying our brains around. It actually is a fully functioning tool. And your brain cannot work well if your body isn't working well. And it goes both directions, right? When your body isn't working well, your brain isn't working well, your brain isn't working well, your body isn't working well. And so over time, over this last probably 100 years, we've really started assigning our health to someone else. And we've been taught to kind of ignore what we feel instinctually, right? So I know for me, when it just comes to my own health or to my children's health, I would have intuition like this is like there's something wrong here, and it needs more attention than what it's getting. And calling the pediatrician and being told, well, as an example for my daughter was like, just put her, there's not really anything you can give her. Just use a humidifier and she'll be fine. Well, she wasn't fine. And I ended up in urgent care, and she ended up getting 2 breathing treatments, and we were borderline going to the emergency room to put her in a bubble. And because she was lethargic, and she, like I could see her belly breathing. Right. And she's like 18 months old. And it really took, after her having this, right, and getting treatment, she then had to be on an inhaler for a few years anytime she got sick, because her lungs just weren't able to combat that. And it was really through my education at IIN and then functional medicine that I learned how to help her heal more fully. And she has not been on an inhaler in the last 2 years. And that's a big mom win for me. That's a big health coach win for me, because the medication that's in inhalers is not good for their brains. And it's not good for your teeth, which has to go past your teeth to get in you. Right. So that was a really an important lesson for me. And it's one that I feel like health coaching we're trying to share, and that's to start listening to what your body's telling you, and to listen to your intuition. And for the moms and dads out there, and I think this kind of goes with moms a little bit more, is listening to our mom intuition. And I think it provides different healing opportunities. But, do you
Yes.
feel, have you experienced that with your clients? Have you experienced that yourself?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, I love the point that you made, that we need to listen to the signals from our body. Our body is brilliant. And when we listen to those whispers, then we don't have to hear it scream, right? But if our body is screaming at us with some major symptoms, or even whispering, we need to listen to it. And I agree with you that intuition was such a huge piece of how I healed myself. And then also, beyond healing myself, I went on to help my husband and my son heal from their chronic health conditions. And, just like your daughter, my husband was on inhalers and medication for asthma and allergies for years. I mean, for the first decade that I knew him.
Yeah.
And since then, we've as a family gone gluten-free and dairy-free. He no longer has allergies, and he is off of medications.
Isn't that amazing? I know when I went to the doctor, I had chronic allergies, and that was really the message that I got from my nurse practitioner. She said, "Well, this is just your lot. This is how it's going to go, and you need to, here's your Zyrtec," or whatever it was at the time. There was always like a new allergy medicine, I feel like. So she was like, "Here, this is what you should take." And at that point, the allergies were just being masked. And it had been, right? I would wake up and sneeze 1,000 times. And And so I was taking this allergy medicine. So then I started getting bloating, right? Because that was like, my body's like, okay, well, if you're not going to listen to me over here, I'm going to start shouting at you from over here.
Yes.
And I think that's something that does occur. And I'm sure there's a lot of people that are listening that are identifying with the fact that they started taking a medication for one thing, and then that led to something else. And then you start taking a medication for that. And you start having this cycle, right? And I like to think of it as a downward spiral, a downward cycle, because you're starting to take more and more medications that are having different types of impacts. And sometimes you don't know them. You're not aware of what they are because it's being masked.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah. If you don't mind me jumping in, I wanted to reflect on the fact that when I took pharmacology during physical therapy school, there was two main points that I remember from that course. One is there's no drug without side effects.
Wow.
And the second main point was people often get stuck in taking a drug to treat the side effects of the first drug they're on. And then they end up with a third drug to treat the side effects of the second drug. So then they end up with this term called polypharmacy, where they're on multiple medications. And then fast forward to, what I saw clinically over the years was that there was no drug that healed any person. It wasn't the drugs that healed people from their knee pain or their back pain. And it wasn't drugs that healed me from depression and anxiety, not even close. And so if the drugs truly cured the condition that we were treating, why do we have to keep taking them our whole lives?
Right.
Yeah. And I do want to add, I am not anti-medication. I think medications, their place is for acute care and trauma care. And, and when surgery is necessary, like, thank goodness we have drugs, but they're doing us a disservice in treating chronic pain and chronic illness.
Yeah, I agree, because when you continuously take them, like I said, you end up with a symptom somewhere else, right? And the goal for all of us is to feel well, to be in a state of homeostasis, right? Where your body is able to adapt to the stressors that are coming into our lives without needing additional support. And so I know this prompted you to write a book. It's amazing, a 6-week plan to reclaim your health and happiness. And I would love for us to dive into that a little bit right after our break.
Sounds great.
Hi, and welcome back to Hidden Secrets to Health. I am your host, Christina Cole, a functional diagnostic nutrition practitioner and certified health coach. And we are here with my guest, Lauren Barr. She's a physical therapist and a certified holistic health coach as well. And we were going to talk about her new book. It's called Ready, Set, Heal. It's a 6-week plan to reclaim your health and happiness. And I've personally read the book. It's amazing. And I love that it's set into 3 parts. And in the back, there's sort of like a little workbook that you can work through to help you create your own plan. But the beginning is really a mindset shift, I think, and a way to help do that. And your personal stories are really amazing. And I like the one where you talk about the girl who was in the terrible car accident and kind of her experience in healing and how much that impacted you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, it was an exciting book to write. And I definitely, the first section is my favorite section of the book. It's called Ready. And it's all these aha lessons that I learned in the course of my career and my journey of my own personal healing, plus healing my family and motherhood. And, do you want me to give the readers a little sense of what I talked about there? Okay. So what Christina was referencing was I did share a story of my very first year as a new graduate physical therapist. And I worked with this young woman who had been in a terrible car accident, multiple fractures, multiple lacerated organs, brain injury. And, you know, she was on that. I was in an inpatient hospital neurorehabilitation unit, and I worked with that young woman for 3, maybe 4 months. And initially she was bedbound. And it was a huge thing when she all of a sudden was able to sit up with support. And then imagine the day when she was able to walk again. That was just amazing. And it was with a walker and it was with support, but she did it. She came back from all those injuries and was able to take her first footsteps. The amazing thing was that this young woman contacted me about a year after I had worked with her, and she invited me to come see her, and I went to see her, and she was doing beautifully. She was back to working and living an independent life, fully functional. So to me, that very early on in my career showed me the amazing capacity of the body to heal. And I've carried that with me throughout my career and my life.
It's beautiful because I there's different people that I follow, and recovering from a brain injury is huge, and the power of nutrition in healing from a brain injury is significant, and it's often not part of the program, if you will. It's not part of the program, and so the physical therapy, I think, you have the most hands-on experience with helping people through this traumatic event, and the amount of compassion you have to have and the stamina to not go home and cry.
Oh, I did. I definitely went home and cried.
Would be significant, because you're really seeing the power of the human spirit, or lack thereof, right? And so I think that's why the mindset is super important. And I'd love to for you to just kind of share a little bit about how you start making a mind shift.
Yeah. So I think one of the key differences is we've been trained in the Western medical model, which is you have a symptom and you match a drug to suppress the symptom. But then there's this whole other model of care that Christina and I are so passionate about, and it's called functional medicine. Mm-hmm. And functional medicine is about creating an environment of health. And so basically, we have to oftentimes get out of the way of our own healing. You know, if we are having digestive issues and skin issues and sleep issues and anxiety or stress and all these issues, you know, if we are burning our candle at both ends, sleep deprived, eating the very inflammatory standard American diet, all of these stressors, we're blocking our body from healing. But instead, if we optimize our sleep, optimize our nutrition, and if we truly believe that healing is possible, then we can start to heal. But that mindset piece is essential. So I do talk about that in the first section of my book, is some of these shifts is, instead of treating disease, let's instead focus on creating health. And with creating health, we need to look at inflammation. We need to look at cultivating good gut health. We need to have a good mindset. We need to know that our healthcare provider isn't there to fix us. They are there to facilitate our healing journey.
Right. I like to say the guide on the side, right? Yeah. That's definitely the position that health coaches take. And that's one of the biggest keys for me to being successful in the healing process and making lifestyle changes, because that's really what it takes, is having somebody that you are accountable to in some way. And I know that that's a role that you play in your health coaching practice, and you specifically focus on helping women sort of decompress and find these healing opportunities and work through that. And a big portion of that, I believe, is doing the mindset, right? It's helping them create different patterns, right? So what you get up and do first thing in the morning, and having a sleep routine, finding some form of exercise that you enjoy. Because if you don't enjoy it, you're not going to do it.
Absolutely.
Right.
Yeah.
It was funny. I saw an article on Christy Brinkley, who doesn't age, right? She's amazing, but her thing is running. And she said that she's gotten to a point where her doctors are told her that she really can't run anymore. She shouldn't be running anymore. I think she's 65. Is that right? Something like that. And I mean, she looks like she's 45. So what do I know? But I thought that was interesting that she said that so now she goes for walks on the beach so that she can get more of that push that you need to have without doing the damage to the knees.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right. So it's finding things that you find pleasure in doing. And what are some of the other like staples that you work with?
Mm-hmm. So when I work with my clients, I mean, it's really this holistic picture that you've started to paint. But in my book, I outlined it into 6 key areas. And this is the second section of the book of Ready, Set, Heal. So it's the set where I talk about the 6 key areas, or the Nourish to Flourish toolkit. And it's food, water, sleep, movement, mindset, and joy.
I love that.
Yeah. And so those are the main areas that I talk about with people. And of course, nutrition seems obvious now to work on, and we need lots of water. The third pillar is sleep. And like I said earlier, we have to have sleep in order for the body to heal. It has to be deep, restorative sleep. We have to have good sleep hygiene. Just like our children have bedtime routines, we need to have a bedtime routine as well. And then movement, as Christina said, the last thing we need is to force ourselves to do some type of exercise that we don't like. Because as busy women, we already have this to-do list that's too long. So I really work with my clients to try to help them find, well, what do you actually enjoy? And, some of my clients, they really enjoy walking. So we build that into the routine. Some people really like those high intensity exercise classes. So we build that in. Some people love swimming. And so we really just customize it. But if we try to force an exercise routine that they don't love, they don't do it. There's no compliance. Of course, me too. I worked in gyms. My physical therapy clinics oftentimes were in gyms. Did I ever go work out at the gym? No. It's just, I always felt this guilt that I should, but it's just not my thing. My thing is running and yoga. So that's fine. So that's the exercise or movement. And then mindset, like I touched on earlier, you have to first believe that your health can get better. If you believe that you're going to be stuck with your same pain or allergies or autoimmune disease symptoms forever, well, then there's no point in trying to have better nutrition and lifestyle, because if you don't believe that they're going to help, they won't.
They won't.
Right? And so you have to have that belief, and then there's motivation to make those changes. And then the last category I mentioned is joy. And that's because in my own journey, when I found myself on medical leave and exhausted and broken, I asked myself, what do I enjoy? And I actually had a hard time answering it, because I had been running around for so many years taking care of everybody else, being the rock star at work, taking care of my kids, taking care of the house, the social calendar. I forgot what it was that brought Lauren joy. And so I had to rediscover that. And so now I find that with my clients, some of them also have a really hard time identifying what it is they enjoy, because again, they've been putting that oxygen mask on everyone else. And so we try to figure out, what do you enjoy and how can we infuse little hits of joy throughout the day? And it might be getting down and petting your dog when you get home for an extra minute, or stopping to actually smell the roses. And just these little hits of joy interspersed in your day can really help to change that mindset piece.
It makes me think of questionnaires where it says, what are your hobbies?
Yes.
And when you're single, you probably have a lot of hobbies, right?
Yeah.
Or when you're younger, you have a lot of hobbies. I think if I asked my kids, what are your hobbies?
Yeah.
Not that they would necessarily know what that means, because it's not really a common word as much anymore, but what do you like doing, right? And it's like, I like doing art. I like climbing trees. I like going and seeing all the animals. And so as we become adults and we do have these super jam-packed lifestyles, you get to a questionnaire and it says, what are your hobbies? And
Yeah.
I think we all freeze, right? It's like, oh,
Yeah.
what are my hobbies? Survive? That's my hobby. I survive.
Right.
And
Right.
so finding things, and I know for me personally, I need to have some type of an outlet. And so I like to say that I have a crafting problem
Okay.
because I throughout my personal journey, I've done a lot of different things. So I took a metalsmithing class and learned how to make jewelry through, literally cutting out pieces of metal and sanding them and soldering them and stuff. And so now I still have these tools, but I can't say that and I do use the tools for random different things, but I can't say that I've actually made a piece of jewelry in probably 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
And then I have macrame stuff all over my house because I have found that to be like this really awesome meditative experience for me. And it comes out with this really cool piece of art. But what I don't know what to do with them, right? I've got like 20 plant hangers. Do you need one?
Sure.
We got plant hangers and wall hangers and stuff. And so it's a great, that's sort of what I've gone through, and finding things that help me sort of decompress from my day-to-day-ness of life, right? The hustle and bustle, the momming, the grocery shopping, that kind of thing, and incorporating some type of an exercise. I need an accountability buddy.
Yes.
For exercise. So I go to a group exercise
Mm-hmm.
and I see the same people. And then if I haven't been there, then I will get called out.
Yes, absolutely.
But it's such a supportive group as well. And I feel like that's the kind of thing that you are incorporating into your practice as well, is helping people sort of uncover these tools, right? To decompress. Maybe it's reading a book.
Yes.
And
exactly.
Right. Not
It's
always.
It's like you're saying, is you uncover the tools, and then once you build that toolbox for your client, you and I are then their accountability partners. And that is part of the magic of health coaching, is being that accountability partner. Did you do your exercise? Okay. What's working? What's not working? What is bringing you joy? And how can we, build that robust toolbox for you?
Yeah. I think that was something that we both learned with IIN, right? Was having that accountability buddy. And did you watch all of the webinars? How many people did you call and do a trial run with? I think as we do that, it becomes more natural, right? And so there's a third part to your book, and that's the heal part. And I'd love for us to kind of dive into that more deeply when we come back from our next break in just a minute.
Yeah, that sounds great.
What made you decide to write the book?
Oh, well, the quick answer is I won a course.
Oh, how fantastic is that?
Yes.
Because I know you've had a story to share, and so I think that's amazing. Winning a course is the best impetus, right? Because you have to take advantage of it.
Yeah, well, it was like this fell in my lap. Okay, I'm going to write a book. What's it going to be? And then I realized I had these messages that I wanted to share with my clients and with as many women as possible. And so the book became a vehicle for me to share my messages.
That's awesome. So when we get back from our break, we'll talk about the heal aspect, the third phase of your 3 parts of the 6-week healing program. Welcome back to Hidden Secrets to Health. I'm your host, Christina Cole. a functional diagnostic nutrition practitioner and certified health coach. And we are with my guest, Lauren Barr, and she is a physical therapist, a health coach, and she's also the author of Ready, Set, Heal, which is available on Amazon and also on her website. She'll give you some more information on that. I would really love to dig into the third part of your book, which is the healing part and how user-friendly you've made it.
All right. Sounds good. So it's a 3-part book. The ready was the mindset shift. The set was your toolbox. And then part 3 is heal. And that's the opportunity for you as the reader to write your own personal prescription, just like I did for myself, just like I help my clients do. And so there's a worksheet. It's very user-friendly. It guides you to go back into each section of the book and pull out what resonates with you. Where do you want to make changes in those 6 key areas of food, water, sleep, movement, mindset, and joy? And once you establish your action steps, well, then I actually help you figure out why better health is important. Like, you have to get to the why, and you have to get to, you know where your health is now, but where do you want to go? Your brain is like this GPS. You don't just say, I want to go to Sacramento or near Sacramento. You actually put an exact location that you want to go within Sacramento. And so the same is true for your brain. You have to know exactly where you want to go with your health, and you have to know why that's important. So oftentimes better health allows my clients to be the mom they want to be, and then I have, other healthcare providers, they want to be the best healthcare provider they can be. Each of us has a unique why. And some of my clients are a little bit older, and so they want to really be active and healthy with their grandchildren. And so once you establish where you want to go and why it's important, then it becomes easier to start taking those footsteps that you've just outlined for yourself.
Yeah, I think when you find out why something is, what is this illness, for lack of a better word, what is this ailment preventing you from doing, and how long has it been preventing you from doing that? If you're trying to go to your kids' soccer games and you have a migraine, right? You feel horrible. And are you really paying attention to what's happening with your child? Probably not. I mean, not that you aren't trying, you're there when you'd probably rather be like in a cave.
Yes.
But the same thing, like when you have some type of a biomechanical injury, right? Which is something that chiropractors and physical therapists, massage therapists are all able to help you with. If you have a hard time with something happening with you there, then it's really hard to be present. And I know for you, your first love was physical therapy. And then you went through health coaching and you really learned all of these additional tools. But there was a prevention of intertwining those two focuses, right? And so you started focusing on your health coaching business, and you wrote this amazing book that's going to help so many people. But then you kind of weren't able to do a lot of your physical therapy. So I know recently you've have a new avenue, and I'd love for you to share that, especially for any other physical therapists that are listening, to know that there's more on the horizon.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's really an exciting time. And like you said, my first passion was physical therapy, and then my second passion became nutrition. And I had this vision of merging the two, but I felt like my hands were tied and that I wasn't allowed to, because it wasn't within my professional scope of practice. But I knew it was powerful. So, when I designed my business, I designed it with 2 separate sides. One was the physical therapy side, and one is this holistic health coaching. And I can either you can either come to see me for one service or the other. Well, I found out recently that this fantastic physical therapist named Dr. Joe Tata, who is a physical therapist, he is also a functional medicine doctor. He actually went to our American Physical Therapy Association and showed them all the evidence for nutrition and said, hey, as physical therapists, we are in an amazing position to be doing nutrition and lifestyle education with our patients. And they actually added it to the Physical Therapy Practice Act.
Yay!
Yay! This is huge. So it's very exciting. And Dr. Joe Tata has a wonderful book that I read and loved. And he actually just started teaching a course. It's the very first ever of its kind that I know of. And it is called Functional Nutrition for Chronic Pain. And it's for physical therapists. Other healthcare providers can also get into the program. So, and we just started that this week. And I'm really excited to further figure out how I can merge these two. And I already have plans next month. I'm going to get back into the physical therapy clinic and sublease a space at a private practice 1 day a week so I can start doing these integrative physical therapy visits.
That's really exciting. My office is in an upper cervical chiropractic office called The Specific in Roseville. And the chiropractor and I just really connected on this connection between what's happening with your body on a biomechanical level and also on the biochemical level. And she's like, I have this great information on how physical, on the physicalities. She's like, but I have to educate people on some of the nutrition. She's like, and that's not my forte. Right. So that's why partnering in these situations is so great. And it really kind of comes back to the beginning of our conversation, which was about community. Right. And building communities that provide these healing opportunities and these accountability. Right. And seeing people who can specialize in what's happening in our particular bodies. And I think it's amazing that you're going to be able to merge these two functions together. And I know you've been looking at a variety of different functional courses, and it's like, the magic one
Yes. Yeah.
has come because it's really geared towards somebody who does physical therapy. So as you go through this course, how do you anticipate this kind of being a breakthrough for your clients?
Well, like you said, there's the physical aspect and the biomechanical aspect of somebody who has neck pain or shoulder pain or whatever joint pain. And I can address that with the physical therapy. But then going back to what I touched on earlier is that your body wants to heal. It's always trying to heal itself. And how can we create the best environment for healing? So even if you truly have, let's say a hamstring strain that's pretty straightforward, it's going to heal anyways. Well, why not accelerate that healing by having an anti-inflammatory diet and doing the physical therapy? So you're going to get faster results. And then for those people who have chronic health conditions like autoimmune disease, they might have movement limitations and maybe they don't know what exercises to start with. I can help them create that exercise program that's going to be comfortable for their body. But then ultimately, we can get them on this anti-inflammatory diet and amazing things can start happening that they didn't even know were possible. I love to share the story of one of my clients that I saw early on when I started this business. And I saw her for the health coaching. She was newly diagnosed with, I can't think of the name of it right now, an autoimmune condition. And essentially she had eczema and severe pain. And she had just been diagnosed, and her rheumatologist wanted to put her on some very heavy medications that were immunosuppressive, and she would have been on them the rest of her life. And she's a young
resolving the problem.
No, just masking a symptom. and suppressing her immune system. And she's a young mom with a toddler, and she couldn't play with him. She was in too much pain, and she could barely even get a jar open and take the lid off, or because her hands hurt so badly. So I put her on this, helped her get to this anti-inflammatory diet. Within 2 weeks, her pain went from a 10 down to a 5.
Wow.
After 4 weeks of this strict anti-inflammatory diet, her pain was down to a 2, and her eczema was almost gone. It was amazing. And now fast forward, I kept in touch with her. It's been about 1.5 years. She's never touched a pharmaceutical drug. She has been able to heal with nutrition. And then I did refer her on to do more work with a functional medicine doctor for gut healing. And it's really an amazing story.
It is. And it just makes me think of people who end up with fibromyalgia, which is, right, like that's really chronic pain and fatigue, and very prohibitive of doing a lot of activities. A lot of time, it's definitely gut related. And a lot of times your gut pain is so intense that it's hard to do almost anything, right? And I've seen people suffering from this. And so that combination, right, of healing the gut and working through these various healing opportunities, but also I think in this situation, learning what kind of movements will help someone in that situation, because movement is so important. I've heard a quote where it's like, lack of movement is as bad for you as smoking.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And because our bodies were designed to move. And the fact that we spend so much time sitting, right? We're sitting in a car, on a bus, on a train, in a plane. We go into an office and we sit. We get home and we're tired because we're brain tired and we haven't moved all day, which makes you tired. And then we sit in front of the TV, right? And so this combination is damaging. And so having somebody who can suggest or introduce gentle movements to start the process is a blessing. How can people find you?
I have a website, and the website is www.simplybalancedwellness.com. And there is information about my services and also the book. You can also get the book on Amazon. Just type in Ready, Set, Heal, and it will pop up.
Great. And I'm sure you're on some social media and share some tips there occasionally. So if somebody wanted to find you on, let's say, Instagram, how would they find you?
I'm under the name Simply Balanced Wellness on Instagram, and then also on Facebook, Simply Balanced Wellness.
Wonderful. Lauren, thank you so much for coming on the show today and sharing your gifts and sharing your book. And I hope that a lot of other people pick that up, because I find it really useful. It's a great tool, and especially for busy women when you need it. It's an easy, quick read. It's entertaining, but it also has a lot of gifts inside of it. And also just that you're sharing your value, your gifts to everyone. And I love that you're able to have the combination of physical therapy and health coaching. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much, Christina. I'm really just on a mission to spread this message that your body is far more capable of healing than you've been led to believe. And, reach out to someone like Christina or I, and we can help point you on your way to better health and happiness.
That's right.